really fell in love with children's books, Dr. Seuss and Peter Eastman and Go Dog Go and all that kind of stuff. And I just loved the combination of being able to tell stories with words and pictures. And I felt like even at that young age, if I could think of it, dream about it, draw it, I could tell any kind of story I want, past, present, future. And that's really got me hooked on drawing and telling stories. And then I found comic books. Much to my parents' mortification, they were, when I was saying I read so many comic books and I traced everything in comic books. I drew comic books all the time, like not doing my chores, not doing my homework, not doing that stuff. And I think my parents were quite sure that have one of those kids that never moved out of the basement. Almost didn't but that was my passion, and it really was the same philosophy as one of my main heroes was a guy named Jack Kirby. You probably all know very well. Him and Stan created pretty much the whole Marvel universe and many other things. And that's what I loved with Kirby. He didn't draw just one thing, he drew lots of things, and it was the same concept of if you could think about it and you want to tell a story past, present, future, you could do it. And that was just the dream, and I was hooked. I drew all the time, and then I met Peter Laird, who was the same thing. We bonded immediately over Jack Kirby. He was really our hero and our idol, inspiration. And we bonded over Kirby, and we immediately formed a studio called Mirage Studios. It was a Mirage because it was our living room. We didn't even have a studio. Actually, it's funny, at that time I didn't even have a desk, a drawing table, and an overstuffed easy chair I found out on somebody left it on the lawn and said free. And so I had this overstuffed chair and I had a lap board. And the origin of the Turtles, some of you probably have heard the story, if you haven't, Peter was, we had the studio, so we're teaming up, doing sketches and concepts and sending samples out to everybody, getting stacks of rejection letters. And I had this idea, I said, if Bruce Lee was an animal, what would be the stupidest animal? Fast-moving martial artist, slow-moving turtle. It was a natural joke that made me laugh, and so I did this sketch. It's actually on my hat here. The first turtle was Michelangelo, even before he was named Michelangelo. And I put it on Peter's desk, and I said, this is going to be the next big thing, with a big laugh, ha, ha, ha. And he loved it. He did a sketch, changed some things, improved some things, and I thought, well, if one, why not four? Kind of like the Fantastic Four, each of them with a different personality and trait. So I did this pencil sketch, 4 turtles, each with a different weapon, masks on, and I did this comic book logo that said Ninja Turtles. And then when he did the inky part of it, he had a Teenage Mutant to the title, and we indeed looked at it and said, this is the stupidest thing we've ever seen, but we love it. And we really we love it so much that we have to come up with a story that tells how these characters got to be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that was in early 1984. And so we came up with the idea, the origin story, wrote the first issue, drew the first issue, and then in an early form of crowdfunding, I had a really awesome uncle that loaned us $1,200, which is enough to print 3,000 comic books, and that was issue 1, and it came out May of 1984, May 5th, 1984, 40 years ago next year.